It's been a short week in politics, but a bloody one, with the Prime Minister surgically removing two underperforming ministers. Melissa Lee, she's been sacked as the Broadcasting and Media Minister, and she's been moved outside of Cabinet as well, while Penny Simmons, she's been stripped of the Disability Issues portfolio. It is Christopher Luxon's first slice with the scalpel, and of course it came with his trademark corporate lingo.
Look, this is simply about me looking across my team. I want to make sure I've got all my aces in their places, that people are really contributing. I want to make sure that every minister is actually powered up, ready to go, doing a good job on their portfolios.
Aces in their places. Well, Labour and National have each given us their ace for our space, whether make their case, maybe be a bit of a disgrace as we broadcast into your place. We've got Labour MP Willie Jackson. Yeah, I learnt it from some corporate guy. We've got Willie Jackson and Simeon Brown from the National Party. Let's start with you, Simeon. Why was Melissa Lee sacked?
Well, ultimately, there's a number of key issues that have developed in this space, and what Christopher Luxon said is we need to have a senior minister dealing with those issues. So he's given that role to Paul Goldsmith. There's a number of challenges around media landscape at the moment, and there's a lot of synergies also with his role around arts and culture and heritage. He's also responsible for New Zealand On Air. He's responsible for the Film Commission, so it makes sense to do that. And that means we can have another fresh look at that and see what we can be doing in this space. Is
she not senior enough? Because she's the third longest serving national MP you've got.
Well, look,
pretty senior,
Paul Goldsmith's on the front bench. He's a senior minister who's got some other portfolios which relate to media and broadcasting areas. So this gives us the opportunity to have a fresh look at it. As the Prime Minister said, we need he's going to do that. He's someone who knows that sector really well. So that's what we've done. Melissa Lee, she's still a minister. She's got some really important roles around economic development and ethnic communities. She's going to continue to contribute across government in those spaces as well, which is really, really important.
Willie, you come in here every week and you absolutely lambast her, don't you? Last week I think you called her stupid, useless, incompetent. Do you feel vindicated by this decision?
Well, one thing I've learned in politics is you don't dance on people's graves, and so I might have done that, but a lot of things happen in politics. You had Seymour calling Winston the most untrustworthy person in the world, right? And 2 weeks later they were in Cabinet together. He was putting billboards up. So, you know, it's a sad time for her. And it's a sad time for Penny. So, yes, I was very clear, but it was never anything personal. What I will say is that Melissa never got any support. She was thrown out there. I can recall the last day in the House when I really went for her in the House, and she got no support from Simeon or any of them. I thought they'd asked me to withdraw and apologise. So, you know, I know it might sound a bit strange, but my sympathy goes out to her because she's been in the game a long time. She was absolutely qualified for the position, but got no support, had no policy, right? Winston and them overruled her, and when you asked her what they were doing, the National Party and the government were doing absolutely nothing, and it's a shame that this Prime Minister can't apply his rules to Seymour and Winston, who have embarrassed this government, rubbished the Waitangi Tribunal, and got no respect at all
for their coalition partners. He can't.
But they go after poor Melissa and Penny.
Oh well, it's all very easy for you to say that, Willie. But the reality is, there's a number of challenges that have been developing, and a lot of these are problems that you're in government for the last 6 years, and actually
it's all our fault.
It's all our fault. These problems haven't been. You didn't manage to solve these problems. So actually, there are some challenges that we need to fix. Paul Goldsmith's the right person to get on with it, and he's a good man.
He's a good man. Keep him away from finance, though. All right, he's not very good on the financial side.
Did Melissa Lee ever bring anything to Cabinet that was going to save this industry?
Yes, she did.
Well, look, I mean, I don't comment on what comes to Cabinet.
You can.
I mean, the reality is, though, the Prime Minister's made a decision, shifting that responsibility to Paul Goldsmith, and that is giving us the ability to have a fresh look at this. And Paul's going to make sure that also the synergies and the opportunities between the broadcasting media role and arts, culture, and heritage is working really well.
Can I just jump in?
No, because you've talked enough, Willie, and this is my show.
It's probably the only thing he's good at.
Willie, this is not Radio Live anymore.
It's probably the only thing he's good at is talking a lot.
What about the media release that came out?
Was Melissa Lee, was she good in Cabinet? I know you can't talk about what she brought to Cabinet, but did she contribute? Was she a good minister?
No, absolutely contributing across the portfolio she had, but also she maintains significant responsibilities in economic development and also in ethnic communities. And she's someone who has significant connections across those ethnic communities, and it's a really important role, particularly here in Auckland, where we need to make sure we're engaging and actually taking and supporting those communities, understanding what's important to them, and delivering for them.
Willie, I'm really surprised at your reaction relation to Melissa Lee being sacked, because you say, I don't jump on anybody's grave, but you're the one who sent it to the grave. You've come in week after week and you've kept the pressure on her.
That's our job. That's
yes,
my
I know
job,
it's your job, but now you're coming and being like, "Wow, I feel sorry for her." You know, it's always tough. But
it's nothing.
Well,
it's nothing.
I'm not saying it's personal,
it's not personal. No. Well, look, I was clear. She wasn't doing the job, and I'm not walking away from that. But I'm not about to dance and celebrate because this woman got kicked out of cabinet. She'd be going through a real tough time. Same with Penny. These are still good women, but they weren't doing their jobs, and they've been sidelined. But I'm not the type of politician to jump around and say, "Good job, Melissa." What I'm saying is, bad luck, Melissa. Never once did I actually say she shouldn't be doing the job. I said she should be doing the job. She should be getting the support.
Well,
but this is a government
what did you expect her to have?
Well, they
she's
should have been.
Minister. She should take stuff.
No, but the government needed to give her some support and say this is a priority.
Yeah.
They needed to have a strategy. They have had no strategy whatsoever.
And
you know
this, as I said, the former minister, the only thing he's actually good at is talking.
Oh, come on.
As we're realising very quickly this morning.
Come on, you.
And the reality here is, look, the Prime Minister's made some decisions in terms of these portfolios. Those people are still ministers. They have significant responsibilities. And actually, we're going to support them to actually get those jobs done. I mean, Penny Simmons has got really important responsibility around reforming tertiary education. Another problem we've picked up from the former government. There are problems all over the place. And actually, if you compare the leadership of Christopher Luxon to the former Prime Minister Chris Hipkins,
he's ruthless.
No, he actually makes clear decisions. He sets clear outcomes, and I think that's what the public expects.
Can I just say one thing before we go off?
Oh, of course. I mean, you're going to anyway.
The press release that came out from Penny and Melissa, we absolutely support the Prime Minister. Oh, come on. They're absolutely heartbroken. And Simeon stood there and he said, "You signed this.
Yes, but
you signed this because it's going to be a great look."
Yes, no, but it's good. I mean, if you're underperforming ministers, why would you have them? I mean, then
show some heart.
You need aces in their places.
Some love. Yeah,
oh, come on. What? Like, I mean, look at the previous government, all right? You had ministers in there who were underperforming.
I mean, we could go through Michael Wood-Kerry, Alan Stewart, Mecca Fighter, even defected to another party from the ministry.
Come on.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about Section 7AA of the Oranga Tamariki Act, because this went to the High Court and the High Court ruled essentially in favour of Minister Chore. Willie, do you think that was the right call from the High Court?
Well, I don't like to make criticisms of the High Court, unlike David Seymour and...
well, you're not a minister, so you're allowed to.
No, but I was disappointed with the result. I was disappointed because, and Simeon should know this, even though, we know Simeon's only about 18, but he's only a young fella. So
you're older than my dad.
He might.
You're older than my dad.
He might not remember. The kid might not remember.
You said let's not make things personal, and then you just.
No, but he's good. He's a good kid. Can I just finish? National brought this in. Do you recall this? That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Well, it was Tracy Martin.
No, it wasn't.
Brought in 2019.
No. You go back to your minister, and you'll see back in 2015. This was something
legislation was changed in 2019.
This is something that Bill English and them pushed forward. Now, let's get serious for a moment. And well done to National at the time, because they recognised with the Māori Party at the time that things weren't working. That so many of these kids didn't know their background, didn't know their history, and it was promoted by National, and ACT voted for it too.
Yep, and New Zealand First supported it.
New Zealand actually, New Zealand First didn't support it. Tracy supported it, but she was outvoted by her crew. But I was really proud of National and the Māori Party, because what they realised in our south, we realised that some of these kids needed to be placed in homes, and their background and their history should be taken into account. It wasn't an absolute must, because our research showed us that these kids were lost in life if they didn't know their background and history. So I was really sad to see the way that ACT have operated here, and really sad to see the change, because we know once you know your roots, your whakapapa, your history, it can work. It can't work all the time. Paramount, and I think Simeon and I will agree on this. The first thing is we want these kids safe. So
and that's the point of the changes that Cabinet has agreed to. Ultimately, we can't comment on where things are at in terms of the court, because I understand there's going to be an appeal. But Cabinet's agreed. Actually, the primacy of safety of these children is the number one thing, and that's the reason why we're making these changes.
And I don't think many people would disagree with that. Does this ruling, though, mean that ministers can now ignore the Waitangi Tribunal?
Oh, look, I mean, the reality is I'm not going to comment on that.
But why not?
Because it looks like it's being appealed.
Yeah.
And so actually it's really important we respect the process in terms of this.
Unlike Seymour and Shane Jones.
Well, no, look, the reality is, I'm just saying it's important but the reality is Cabinet has the ability to make decisions. We were elected to deliver this change in Section 7AA. I've been given the responsibility of making the changes around Māori wards and actually restoring the rights of people to make decisions, the voters, to be able to make decisions around whether Māori wards should be in place or
And
not.
if the Waitemata Tribunal summons you, subpoenaed you, would you turn up?
They've written to me, and we'll provide some information back to them. But at the end of the day, we will respect the process, and I'd get Crown Law advice on that.
Okay, we've got a...
incredibly
good at
important,
talking.
this.
Yes, he is very
good
No,
at
because
talking.
here we had a bipartisan approach. Because Bill English, National, ACT supported the change too, gave Māori. These kids got lost in the system. We're not saying they have to go to the iwi, they don't have to go to the right place.
So the Cabinet's decided to put primacy of the child's safety at the top of the list.
But we already had that.
And so you should be supporting the change.
No, absolutely. I don't support the change because your former leader, Bill English, supported Tariana Turia, and David Seymour all supported the change for them to find their roots, to find their whānau. But of course, if they couldn't, you go with the best family. I don't have any problem with Pākehā families bringing up Māori kids. I think it's as long as those kids are safe. But these guys are hypocrites. They voted for it before, and now
that's the optics
it's all
of it, though. That's the optics of this change. Is that
it's a disgrace.
You should be supporting it.
Okay, look, we've got to leave it there. And obviously,
did we find
you guys
out how old
disagree.
Simeon was before we?
Well, no, it's just been your birthday this week, wasn't it? Your birthday was earlier this week.
21.
I'm now over half the way to retirement age. I'm 33.
Oh, 30.
I mean, that's
You're
pretty
getting
impressive.
on. You're getting on.
Younger than me, even. Good on you. Thank you very much for both of you coming in.
Never got a word in again.
And thank you very much for being so respectful to each other. Willie Jackson from Labour and Simeon Brown from the National Party.